Okay, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is having a good Monday with regards to starting off the week and just getting back into the swing of things after the weekend. So I am first and foremost, I want to say thank you to everybody that came out to the Kid Expo a couple weeks ago. I think I said that last week, but it bears repeating. We had a significant amount of people to our Kid Expo. We do that every year, and it's always a great event. Um, Part of the things about this job that I think is really great is just meeting people that I would not meet every day. And so today's mug has a little significant experience because so I worked at the First National Bank of Chicago and I brought up my First National Bank of Chicago mug. This is in essence a collector's item because First National Bank of Chicago was merged with MBD Bank and Bank One, and now it's Chase. And so I was talking to some folks over the weekend, and they mentioned banking, and I said, well, I was in banking. I was a registered financial advisor with Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, and also with First National Bank of Chicago. And believe it or not, the four people in this group, they all worked for First National Bank of Chicago too. So we had like a small little First National Bank of Chicago reunion there at the festival. It was really fun talking about people that we kind of knew, people we didn't know, but it was certainly a good time and really truly appreciated just connecting over all that. So I seriously think that part of this job is, of course, meeting people that you don't always meet every single day, and so that's one of the benefits of this office. So, certainly, I want to make sure that my computer is up and running and make sure that I can see everybody. Good morning, Bob. Bob is looking on, and good morning, everybody, as well. So, certainly, that is one of the things that we need to do. So, a lot has happened last week. One of the things I want to talk about a little bit is September 11th. We had Patriots Day on September 11th, and I was working at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter at the time. I had just been on the second tower. Uh, Almost a year prior to that, for training, I was there for 3 weeks. We had the upper floors of the Second World Trade Center tower. Um, so during 9/11, everybody remembers where they were at. I was at getting ready to head out the door. I had the TV news on, and I remember seeing the images and stopped and watched the images on my television. And at that point, it was unknown what was going on. And then both towers came down. Now, Morgan Stanley Dean Witter was in the second tower, and apparently the Port Authority had told them not to evacuate. And there was a veteran who was in charge of the security detail, and he ordered the evacuation. Um, and he saved all the lives. And ordered the evacuation, and everybody went down. Hundreds of employees went down. And I'm looking to see his name. I didn't have my name in his note. Rick Riscorta is what was said. And he was a veteran. He was in charge of security there, and he and Rick just had it, took the leadership role and evacuated everybody, and he and several other security individuals stayed behind to make sure that the floor was secure while everybody was gone, and sadly lost his life. He was a colonel, and certainly a hero in the world that I lived in, and he was a Vietnam veteran, and he served honorably. And I'm a little lost of words because you just do what's right at the time when you have to step up and do it. And Rick Riscorda's life is really a study in leadership and putting yourself above others. And he was in the Army, and certainly I think those leadership skills are really, really incredibly important. And he was, like I said, a colonel. He led troops in Vietnam. He earned a Silver Star. And so he, you just stand up and do what you have to do. And he's somebody that I think about every time at this time for 9/11. He went above and beyond the call of duty, and he was obsessed with getting everybody out of the tower that worked at Morgan Stanley. And he 2,700 employees he evacuated, and he saved their lives. And so of all the people, Morgan Stanley owes him a debt, and certainly a debt of gratitude, of course, for putting his life on the line and for so many others. So I'm remembering him, Rick Riscorda. He's a soldier, a leader, and a hero. Um, and he never Everybody else was running out of the building, and he ran back up the stairs after saving all the individuals to make sure that everybody was out. So I wanted to talk about him a little bit this morning, with regards to 9/11 around the corner, from us last week. The second thing is certainly something that's on a lot of people's mind, and I'm just going to really touch base on that and really talk about the week in terms of just political violence that comes out, and that has um, really touched us all. A couple months ago, former Speaker of the Minnesota State House, Melissa Hortman, was her and her husband was killed tragically in their house by an individual pretending to be a police officer. And then just recently, an individual I didn't follow, but Charlie Kirk was killed on the other side, and a Republican was killed. And we got to just look back at things, that we've come to a point where if you don't agree with somebody, then violence is acted upon them, and that's not the country that I serve to defend. That's not the country that a lot of people um, risk their lives for, and it's something that needs to be addressed. Their deaths, they're not the result. They're not the result of Republican evil or Democrat evil. um, uh, Political violence is intrinsically anti-American, and it really has no place anywhere. It really is. It's again, we have freedom of speech in this country, and it needs to be adhered to. And we just really need to just focus back on our country and what it means, and understand that there's a lot more that unites us than divides us, and I know there's a lot of divisiveness out there, but we need to go back to, as Americans, focus on what unites us. Like for me, almost all my bills have been bipartisan. I work very good with all individuals on both sides of the aisle, and we need to look at the greater good and our constitutional rights and what we as Americans have. So the Hortman family and friends, are in my heart. In fact, I went to a conference and met with several of her friends from the chamber, And although I don't know the Kirk family or any of his friends, certainly it's devastating. It's devastating both to families. It's devastating to change the trajectory of young children when they lose a parent or two, or both parents in the case of Melissa Hortman. And and just the violence overall, the school shooting and everything. We need to start to ratchet back and realize that violence is not the answer. Um, and that we need to start engaging in dialogue again. And I know I'm on social media, but coming off of social media and actually engaging in people individually, like engaging in the individuals that I met from First National Bank of Chicago. So I know that there's been some discourse and some discussion um, with regards to flags at half-mast, and I understand that. And a military person, I believe that flags being flown at half-mast is an important symbolic gesture. And um, just so that, just gonna lay out a little bit of hierarchy. The federal government has authority over everything that the federal government controls. So the president can order flags at half mast at federal buildings over the federal government's jurisdiction, not the state buildings, not the state jurisdiction. We have states' rights, and here in Illinois we have local control. So the governor ordered the flags at half-mast uh, to honor Melissa Hortman and Charlie Kirk and individuals that have been victims of political violence. They're on both sides of the aisle. It's not a one-side issue, both sides of the aisle. So the governor ordered the flags at half-mast for the state facilities under the jurisdiction of the state. Now, local control is local control in the cities and the towns. So the cities can follow suit of what the state does, or they choose not to. That's the benefit of local control. We have a separation. And so apparently the mayor of Aurora chose a different direction and left the flags at half-mast for the 9/11 victims and honoring those that perished in 9/11. And that was his choice. So we need to start respecting the processes and the government that we have in place. And whether you agree or not, you can disagree with decisions of public officials, and you can disagree or not disagree. But hateful rhetoric and vitriol and that does not that that's not American. You can sit there and say, I disagree, and that's fine. And if you have a flag on your house and you want to do it, whatever you want to do with your flag on your house, you can. And if you don't agree with the leadership of the city, guess what? There's elections next year. So take your actions to the ballot box. But to continually to um just engage in speech that is not helpful. It's not American. And understanding and acknowledging and dialoguing on why somebody did a certain thing or why a leader did a certain thing, that's American. And trying to understand or trying to come to some resolve. But going on social media and videotaping city workers doing their job and harassing people, that's not who we are. Let's try to be a little bit better and a little bit kinder and a little bit more compassionate to those that are doing their job. And then also, you can certainly redress and elected officials certainly should take your thoughts into consideration, and that should be voiced, but voiced in a common sense. Um, Engaging dialogue instead of shouting matches and being loud and being disrespectful and really un-American. So it's been quite the week for our nation. It's been quite the week overall, emotionally, with 9/11 and tragic shooting again and a school shooting again, and just the violence that seems to be riddling through our society. It certainly has been tough for a lot of people and stressful. So I'm not, you know, we have freedom of speech in this country. Uh, Hate speech is different than freedom of speech. It's been proven in the courts. So let's try to engage in constructive dialogue and thoughtful discussion and trying to do our best to see the other side of the argument. Even if we don't agree with it, we could agree to disagree. And I think that's the path that we need to start going down. So with that, we will continue on a bit of an update. Not much this week in with regards to state politics because the governor signed all the bills. There's still some work that needs to be done with regards to veto session, but it does not look to see like there is a lot that lot going on overall. So, but with that, we're gonna switch gears again to an individual that I learned or that I've known really well and gotten to know throughout the years, and that's former Governor Jim Edgar. So I was part of the 2025 Edgar Fellows, and if you're not familiar with the Edgar Fellows, then it's primarily for those in primarily for those in public service, in public, elected officials or those that work with it, and with regards to uh, what we were just talking about, reaching across the aisle, working together. Jim Edgar was a moderate Republican. Back in the day, he ran for governor in 1990. That's the year I went into the Marine Corps. So 1990, he won statewide, and he focused on the importance of everyday issues for people. He worked fairly hard and tried to address property taxes. He did put in the property tax cap, which back in the day sounded like a good idea. And what we have found that it incentivizes school districts and taxing districts to tax all the way up to the top of the cap, because if they don't, it's a use it or lose it kind of thing. If they don't go all the way up to the top, then the next year they'd lose it potentially. Governor Edgar was very focused on education and uh certainly back in the day, just a wonderful person. Edgar inherited a deficit. After he was elected, he insisted the state have to live within his means. Um, So he certainly had to cut parts of the budget, and Medicaid costs were rising, as we see today. Some things don't change. And so when he left office, he tried to do address property taxes again. It actually failed by one vote. It passed the House, and it actually failed by one vote. I'm told it was Lita Redondo who cast it was tied, and she cast the no vote that made that initiative not pass. He is part of the path that we are on to pay the pension debt. Agreeing to a plan that actually the payments were delayed for well over 10 years, and we got higher payments on the back end. And his mentality was something was better than nothing. The plan was flawed, and he had expected that the General Assembly would come back and fix some of the nuances of the plan that weren't that need to be fixed. That didn't happen. So we're in it's called the Edgar Ramp, and we are set to pay off our pension debt by 2040. Down the road a bit, and the payments keep going up because that's part of the ramp. This year our pension payment was $11 billion. Still working on pensions for how long now? Governor Edgar increased, like I said, K through 12 education, higher education funding. He implemented instantaneous background checks on gun buyers, and he left the state with a $1.2 billion budget surplus. So today now we do have a rainy day fund again. The surplus was almost immediately spent when Governor Ryan took office, and now today we restored the rainy day fund. So Governor Edgar focused on promoting bipartisanship and leadership building. Like I said, I was part of his 2015 Edgar Fellow Program. Trains new political individuals, legislators, and those interested in politics to work with others. He frequently talked about the drift of the Republican Party, and he's certainly been outspoken. But Edgar always had the 3 C's in mind: civility, compromise, and compassion. Most important today, compassion. Former Governor Edgar was acknowledged that he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he passed away over the weekend. And he was a man of integrity and a strong moral character who dedicated his career to public service, and his contributions to Illinois will not be forgotten. He was 79 years old. Certainly it's been quite the week with the passing of Governor Edgar as well. Those in Southern Illinois, I didn't know Porter McNeil that well, but many people did. He was more in the Rock Island area. He was a true gentleman, and really known by a lot of individuals. I didn't know him that well, but Porter always looked at the world, and the world can be jaded. And it was reported that Porter's view was that even though the world was jaded quite easily, it doesn't have to ever be that way. He was quoted as saying, you go through life, and he always chose optimism. He knew and loved politics more than anybody else, it was reported, and you can operate it efficiently and still be a good person. So my thoughts go out to both the Edgar family and the McNeil family. And then an individual that I didn't get a chance to serve with, he graduated from the Illinois House in 2003, was an individual named Mark O'Brien. He started in the House staff back in 1971. Again, a lot of people knew him, and certainly he passed away as well. He was on staff for the Illinois House of Representatives. So certainly a lot of individuals that I did know, like Governor Edgar, and some I knew by proxy because I knew people who knew them. Certainly it's been quite the week. But other things that are going on is the Bears is kind of top on the agenda, looking at what the package looks like with regards to the Bears, the Arlington type stadium plans. What I've been told is the Bears have been meeting with the village officials, and they are looking again to a stadium redevelopment focus on the 326-acre former racetrack site that was Churchill. So the mayor of Arlington Heights says he's happy with the way the project is advancing, and the efforts will continue to move forward through a multi-tier approval process that engages the community. So if you live in the Arlington Heights area, or you're interested in what's going on with the Bears, they are going to be engaging in public meetings. So that's certainly something that we can, if you're interested in, you can certainly participate in. Other than that, we are looking at veto session right around the corner in October. We're also getting reports from enrollment. NIU freshman enrollment is up. Some other colleges like U of I, they have seen a decrease in international students. So we are getting reports with regards to university attendance. I hope everybody had a great beginning of their college career. And then those that are in apprenticeship programs, of course, we got to talk about the trades. And then, of course, my son and folks, anybody that went off to boot camp or are serving our country, I hope that is going well as in addition to that. And then recently, the governor signed an executive order with regards to vaccinations. So the governor signed an executive action that with regards to vaccinations. So he's continuing to work with our Department of Public Health with regards to making sure that individuals get the information that they need with regards to vaccinations and being able to vaccinate. Certainly that is something that is really important here in the state of Illinois, really important overall for the health, safety, and welfare of all of us in Illinois, and vaccinations has worked and do work. So certainly that's something that the governor, through his executive order, is working on just making sure that the Illinois Department of Health works with and continues to inform people and work to ensure that vaccinations are available to individuals in the state of Illinois. Now, that being said, certainly you need to talk to your doctor if you have extenuating circumstances and be in consultation with your doctor with regards to vaccine and vaccine usage. But Friday, the executive order aims to protect the COVID-19 vaccine access in Illinois, as well as the flu shots and some of the other shots that individuals have been calling me about and having issues with getting. COVID cases are slightly on the rise in Chicago. Actually, I know a couple of people that actually tested positive for COVID. So the executive order establishes a statewide vaccine access initiative and directs Illinois Public Health Director Vola to authorize pharmacies and other providers to administer the vaccines that have been proven to prevent severe cases. The order encompasses, like I said, routine vaccinations, flu, RSV, polio, measles, and more. On the federal level, under Secretary Kennedy, the Federal Drug and Food Administration has approved the latest version of the COVID-19 vaccines, but they have restricted it to only for people 65 and older or who have unspecified high-risk medical conditions. So what the order that Illinois Pritzker's order could make it easier for people to get the shot outside the FDA's limited recommendations. So we want to make sure that families in Illinois, they can get these vaccines that, with consultation with their doctor, they should be able to get. So the order calls for state health officials to publish plain language guidance on the shots and bolster school vaccine campaigns with local health departments, community health centers, and other locations. It also requires state-regulated health insurance plans to cover the vaccines as well. The state has an immunization advisory committee, and it meets regularly, and it will meet on September 22nd to issue its own recommendations on the vaccines by September 26th, opening the door for our Illinois Department of Public Health Director, VOA, to authorize vaccinations at pharmacies and other providers. So certainly private health insurances, we don't really know how they will be. So the state can authorize insurance companies that operate solely within the boundaries of the state. The federal government is in charge of private health insurers that might go multi-state. So it's unsure what the private insurers are going to do. Normally, insurers decide what they will cover based on recommendations issued by the CDCs, but they're not mandated by the CDC with regards to that. So looking at those types of nuances. So these insurers could also follow the state's recommendations. So they're a private company and they can take their direction from either the national level or the state level. Certainly, the order also calls for the state health agency to create a plan to continue to provide free vaccines for children who receive them through a federally funded program known as Vaccines for Children if the federal government disrupts it or chooses to close it. So the order also makes sure that we're going to make sure that kids get their vaccines as well. Again, with consultation with your doctor. So it's not just COVID-19, like I said. It should cover the flu, RSV, polio, measles, and more. So that's also something that is really on our desk and on our order. And then certainly we talked about the Bears Stadium. Pope Leo grew up in Dalton, and they are celebrating his 70th birthday. So if you're a big fan of the Pope, certainly that is going to be a lot of fun with regards to that. So, and like I said, not much has really been hitting my desk this week. Just wanted to talk about the state of a lot of things that happened last week. It's really tough. Immigration, talked about it a bit. There are ICE agents, and we are looking at legislation in Illinois with regards to code of conduct for ICE agents, letting them do their job. But code of conduct, what means they have to identify themselves as ICE agents. They need to stop wearing masks and really having some regulations with regards to their behavior. There is legislation with regards to that has been filed in Illinois and other states. So that is, again, due process is part of our constitutional rights, and we need to make sure that everybody in our country has their fundamental constitutional rights adhered to, with regards to not only immigration but everything else. It's in our Constitution, and we need to start really looking with regards to that. And then lastly, just so that I mean, it's been kind of interesting. I got a new book in the mail I'm interested in reading. So in case you're interested in what's on my desk that I'm reading right now, Bowling Alone. I just got this book. I can't wait to read it. I'm currently reading the follow-up to The Tipping Point. So the 25th anniversary what can you say, reprint and update to that. So I'm currently finishing that. And then on the state side, I have my homework is, of course, the Illinois State Retirement Systems, because I'm the chair of pensions. So these are available through the Commission of Government Forecasting and Accountability. So I talk about them a lot. So these are on my desk that I am reading. And then, of course, the State of Illinois Budget Summary. Anybody can get these books. They are available to the public as well. This is our new one, the fiscal year of 2026. And again, this is from the Commission of Government Forecasting and Accountability. We get these as a General Assembly. So I am, of course, those just landed on my desk. So I'm going to be reviewing those as well. So with that, I can check my notes a couple more times. And again, I said that not much on the state level. Tim Evans in Cook County was 24 years as the chief judge. Tim Evans lost re-election to Judge Charles Beach after circuit judges delivered a surprise victory to Beach. So he is going to be replaced by Judge Charles speech on the Cook County Judiciary. If you're in Cook County, certainly that's something that that we can, if you're in Cook County, that you know. And then there was an announcement that the Taste of Chicago is going back to July 4th weekend. Now that it seems that NASCAR is not returning. And then a couple polling with regards, there was a poll from the University of Chicago finds that most Americans believe poverty and homelessness have increased over the past 25 years, with 76% saying the federal government has a responsibility to address the issue. So homelessness, as we've been walking, and I was just in Rockford the other day, and Rockford has a net zero veteran homeless, so they pretty much have reduced veteran homeless to a net zero. And the root cause of homelessness is very, very intertwined and very, very complex. But in the veteran space, a lot of it is post-traumatic stress and mental health issues and supports. And they find that when individuals are given the supports they need and the healthcare that they need, that they can reduce homelessness. And Rockford has done a great job with regards to that. Poverty is a big issue. 81% believe that the government spending to address poverty is too low overall, and 61% of independents believe that. So certainly we need to look at poverty. So that just came across my desk as well, that we're looking at as well. So certainly, there's a lot going on, but again, just gearing up with regards to veto session. There were a couple bills, as I mentioned before, that the governor vetoed. I don't believe we're going to override those vetoes. I think that the bills that were vetoed need a little bit more work, and one of the bills that was vetoed was actually redundant, and it was a requested veto. So and then the Supreme Court agrees to hear the case with regard to tariffs. Tariffs are really hurting small businesses, and I've said that before. The cases were consolidated. There was a case brought by two Illinois toy companies with regards to small businesses. And, again, I was just at the farmer's market, and at the beginning of the season, things were at $30. They're now at $40, gone up $10. And in part because of the tariffs. Tariffs do affect the bottom line cost of items. They're not really paid for by the government or by other countries. They're built into the cost of doing business. They're built into the cost of the product, and they are a tax of the product coming over that the businesses have to pay. So it's hitting that. I've worked with Dave Vella. He's done some great committee work with regards to his international committee, and with regards to these tariffs as well. So we are certainly looking at that court case that comes up in later on this year, and what it means for the state of Illinois. So with that, I hope everybody has a great Monday. The weather outside is nice. It's going to be a little warm, so make sure you drink a lot of water and stay healthy. And we will be back talking to you next Monday. So take care, all. Have a great day. Have a great week. Be safe. COVID is still out there, so certainly we want to make sure you are aware. So if you're feeling sick, stay at home, and take care. Have a great one.